Donald Trump is convicted. Could he still be president of the United States? Donald Trump, the former United States president and putative Republican nominee for the White House, has been found guilty of falsifying records to cover up a hush money payment he made in 2016 to an adult film actor. Trump is now officially a felon, a criminal convicted of a serious crime, which presents an unprecedented situation in the history of the American presidency and indeed, in the history of America itself. What happens now? What punishment will Trump get for his crime? This will be known on July 11th, the date that Judge Juan M. Merchan has set for the sentencing. Alvin L. Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney who prosecuted the case, has not said what punishment he would seek for Trump. In theory, the judge could put Trump in jail for up to 4 years, but he is not required to do so, and the former president could end up getting a probation. What happens to his campaign as a result of the conviction? Not much. The Republican National Convention is scheduled to begin in Milwaukee on July 15th, at the end of which Trump is expected to officially accept the party's nomination. Meanwhile, he will appeal, first to the Appellate Division in Manhattan and, if he fails to get relief, to the Court of Appeals in Albany, the highest court in New York State. He then has the option of going to the U.S. Supreme Court. In any case, the appeals are expected to continue far beyond the presidential election of November 5th. He is at the moment free to campaign and could remain so even after the sentencing. In fact, even if Trump is jailed, he can campaign from prison. The last precedent for this is the case of Eugene V. Debs, who ran as the socialist candidate for U.S. president in 1920 while in prison. Debs received 3.4% of the vote in the election that was won by Warren G. Harding of the Republican Party. While Trump has been tried and convicted in Manhattan, New York City, in the Stormy Daniels hush money case, he still faces 3 other criminal cases, 2 in federal courts in South Florida and Washington, D.C., and 1 in a state court in Georgia. These 3 cases are more serious and complex than the hush money case. Trump is accused of mishandling classified documents in Florida and of conspiracy to subvert democracy in the other 2 prosecutions, but have been delayed. It is possible that trial does not begin in any of these cases until Election Day. Does this mean he can be a candidate for president even after being convicted? Yes. Under the U.S. Constitution, a candidate must only be 35 years or older, be a natural-born citizen, and should have lived in the U.S. for at least 14 years. There is no bar based on a candidate's criminal record. In some American states, felons are not allowed to run for state or local offices, but this does not apply to federal offices, including that of president. The New York Times said in an explainer that states could, in theory, try to keep Trump off the ballot by passing legislation requiring a clean criminal record, but this would be on legally shaky ground. What is this argument about the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says that no person shall hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, or as an officer of the United States, if he has engaged in insurrection or rebellion after having taken an oath to support the Constitution. It had been argued that Trump's actions before and on January 6, 2021, when his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, disqualified him on this count, and he had been found ineligible by the Colorado Supreme Court and the Secretary of State in Maine. However, in March this year, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that states could not push Trump off the ballot under this section. The court concluded that only the U.S. Congress could enforce the bar in Section 3 against a candidate running for federal office. What if the Republican Party decides that Trump cannot be its candidate? Trump has already got the support of the majority of delegates to the Republican convention. There is now no mechanism available to nominate someone other than Trump to the ticket. The New York Times explainer noted that under the party's official convention rules, if a delegate tries to support someone other than the person the primary results bound them to, such support shall not be recognized. The party could have someone else if Trump were to withdraw on his own. But as of now, no top Republican has suggested that they should dump Trump, and this situation looks unlikely to change. Is it possible that Trump is elected while in jail? Yes. There is nothing in the law to make him ineligible due to his being in jail. Legal experts quoted in the American media have said the framers of the Constitution probably never conceived of this possibility, but it is not known how such a presidency might function. We're so far removed from anything that's ever happened. Erwin Chemerinsky, a constitutional law expert at the University of California, Berkeley, told the New York Times. This would be a new and unprecedented legal crisis, and a battle in the courts will likely inevitably follow. The New York jury's verdict found him guilty of falsifying documents to cover up a payment intended to silence a porn star ahead of the 2016 election. After 2 days of deliberations, the 12-member jury found Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. According to Reuters, these charges carry a potential prison sentence of up to 4 years, although convicted individuals typically receive shorter sentences, fines, or probation. However, Trump has denied any wrongdoing and pleaded not guilty. Judge 1M. Merchant has scheduled Trump's sentencing for July 11th, just days before the Republican Party is scheduled to formally nominate him for president ahead of the November 5th election. Reports state that being incarcerated would not legally stop Trump from running a campaign or assuming office if he were elected. Trump, 77, has denied wrongdoing, and an attorney representing him said they would appeal as quickly as possible. This was a disgrace, Trump told reporters afterwards, as he proclaimed his innocence and repeated his complaints that the trial had been rigged against him. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people, he said, as quoted by Reuters. Trump's attorney, Will Scharf, told Fox News, "We are going to appeal as quickly as we can. We will seek expedited review of this case." Meanwhile, opinion polls indicate that Trump and Biden, 81, are in a close race. At the same time, Reuters' Ipsos surveys suggest that a guilty verdict could reduce Trump's support among independent and Republican voters. Biden's campaign said the verdict showed that no one was above the law and urged voters to reject Trump in the election. There is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box, the campaign said in a statement. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson characterized Trump's verdict. "Today is a shameful day in American history. The conviction does not prevent Trump from continuing his campaign or becoming president," the Associated Press reported. He also remains eligible to vote for himself in Florida, as long as he stays out of prison in New York State. Lara Trump, Trump's daughter-in-law and co-chair of the Republican National Committee, mentioned in a Fox News Channel interview on Thursday that Trump would conduct virtual rallies and campaign events if he is convicted and sentenced to home confinement.